I just needed someone to hold me.
All the signs were there that this wasn't working, and after a while I just couldn't take the hurt. It left a hole in my chest on the day that she left, but it was for the best. I was praying down on my knees, and I still can't believe you showed up out of the blue. I'm so happy it hurt when they walked out the door. Happy they left my heart broke on the floor. Happy I don't have to fight anymore. Had to leave it behind me so real love could find me. You opened my heart, set fire to my soul.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Matt, the source, what's going on, man? How's it going?
Better than I was last week.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt about that. Good thing you're feeling a little better, and a little reminder that you can get normal sick too.
Yeah, it's not COVID strep, guys. It's normal strep, I promise. Not contagious.
So, no, very contagious, very contagious. But you probably should stay away from everybody but your dog for a moment. But it's a different sickness. It is. It's kind of enlightening. Kind of enlightening to hear somebody normal sick here. But glad you're feeling better, as we joke around about that. But hey, we got a big day here today. And what a better day to bring on Checkers and Wreckers' own NASCAR specialist, NASCAR analyst, our Bob Pockrass, if you will. None other than old Kyle, let's take forever, get ready, and here he is. Wes Wood, how are you doing here this morning, sir?
I'm doing good. And some high praise I don't think I deserve, but thank you.
So first thing I got to ask you, are you a little upset maybe not to see Jimmy in this new car here?
A little bit, only because I think it better suits his driving style. So I think if he were to come back and drive this, at least what I've seen in the test sessions and the practice, I think he'd do pretty well. I mean, taking the whole age aspect into it, you never really know. But, I mean, you got Kevin Harvick still out on the track doing his thing, doing pretty well. So can't imagine Jimmy would be doing any worse. So, yeah, I'd love to see him at least try this new car.
So we have spoke about the new car a couple times here on the show. What's your input on it? Because I know you kind of praised this car. You're pretty excited about it. Am I correct?
I was skeptical at first, but like I said, I think it was that test session at Charlotte that convinced me that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You know, seeing a lot of those guys kind of sliding around like they would in like the was that when the Gen 6 first rolled out, or at the end of the COT era, where there was like driving on ice almost. I feel like during that Charlotte test, you saw a lot of that. A lot of guys like spinning it off the corner, and mid-corner they were even spinning it out. So I think it's going to be a handful. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. Matt, have you got a chance to drive these things on iRacing yet? I know a lot of these NASCAR guys out here, they don't want to hear NASCAR and iRacing together. They're sick of that stuff. But, hey, all three of us are on that. So we use that as a good little base. Have you got a chance to. He's not doing anything. Leave the dog alone, Matt. He's being a good boy.
No, he's talking. He wants to chime in.
He
and
wants
I
to
wanna-
tell us what he thinks about the.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to thank Bob for coming on the show for being. I mean, Kyle. Sorry, Kyle. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you showing up on time. No, I have not had a chance to drive it. I have them downloaded, but I actually. So you and I've talked about it. I don't know if Kyle's opinion is the same on this, but when they're on that restrictor plate, when they did the Daytona testing, they looked so stupid on track. But watching everything now I've watched for the at the Coliseum with the Clash, those cars look pretty awesome. Like they look like a legit short track car.
I
They're on a
think you
restrictor
gotta
plate, they look bad.
attribute that to the camera, because if it looked like people during the practice sessions almost had their camera out and were like doing the hey, here's YouTube. Here's YouTube's test session here today. It's like, what kind of can we not pull out the TV equipment today or something? Like, I think, Kyle, would you agree? It seemed like those were far shots. Like, it almost looked like fan footage out there. What's going on, Big Ben?
Somebody was on a roof with an iPhone.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. That's kind of the way I was taking that as well. So, kind of an interesting put to it. But I know Kyle and myself, we were driving the next gen at Kentucky last night, and man, it's a lot different car, because it was almost, I'm not going to say completely full throttle before, but if you were driving that next gen car, if you had any runs in it before they updated that and got the information from NASCAR from those test sessions, you would it was boring. I mean, you'd keep that thing almost to the floor, and it seemed like almost every track was not a super speedway, but to that aspect of you're just going to tuck in behind that guy and try to follow him around. And now it is completely different. I think the ice that really fell in Kentucky has fallen onto the track on iRacing, because, man, the balance transfer and everything, when you let off that gas, it seems like the transfer, the weight is so dramatic in the corners that it is just like driving on ice. What's your take on that, Kyle?
Yeah, I would agree. That's where I was struggling the most, I think, was corner entry. Like you said, as soon as you go to let off that gas, it's like that rear end wants to come around on you. But I compare it to, like I said before, I always compare it to the last generation of the Cup car. Before, or I guess I should say early Gen 6 era. It feels a lot like that almost. Like, I remember you couldn't full throttle it coming off the corners. It's something I've gotten used to in the last couple updates, where you just want to stay in the gas. You barely burp it getting into the turn. Now it's all about the throttle control. You got to really almost feather the throttle in the middle of the corner, or else it's just going to step out, and there's no saving those things. But
absolutely.
It is fun.
So Matt, we'll go ahead, Matt.
Well, no, what I was going to say was, so from listening to what you guys are talking about, the throttle control. So this is where guys that excel on the dirt side of iRacing should excel in the next gen car, because that's all throttle control too, driving through the slick and all that. Like, you're not always full throttle through that. So the guys that that are really good on the dirt side, if they want to try the next gen car, they would probably do really well in the next gen car itself.
So to that, and that's kind of what the question I was going to shoot there to you was, what do you guys think, both of you, Matt, we'll get your take first on this, but what do you think as far as what you just said there? Who does this car benefit? Whose driving style does this car benefit? Who do you think really has maybe an upper hand, if that is the case, especially early in the season before they get more testing, more laps under their belt?
So that's going to be really tough to answer for just one guy, because, you know, like Kyle said, you still have Kevin Harvick, who's a veteran who can adapt to what the car is. Kyle Busch has shown that he's quick in every new car that he gets out in. Guys like Kyle Larson and Chris Bell, who are really good on dirt, I mean, they're going to be probably the best when it comes to adapting. But across the board, though, you got guys like Harvick, the Bushes, the veterans that are still in the sport, that have been around through multiple cars, that they know what they're getting in expectation-wise of how to adapt to a new car, new driving style and whatnot. So, like, for me, that's kind of hard. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Larson, but it's like, there's multiple guys you can really choose out of that.
Kyle, what do you think? Who do you think this new car maybe benefits here?
I know a lot of guys don't want to hear it, but probably like Matt said, Larson. I also think Tyler Reddick is going to be
We did see
really
him
good
up
in this
on
car.
top of the board and qualify. Not top, but near the top of the board there.
Right. And I think especially when we get to like some of the bigger tracks where it's really like driving on ice, you're going to see Reddick. He just seemed. I think that's kind of why I started pulling for Reddick now once Johnson retired. I like his driving style because it reminds me a lot of Jimmy. He likes a loose car. He likes to drive them on edge. And he's very good at controlling them when they do kick out sideways, like uncontrollably, especially off the corner. I noticed, like he's one of those guys that can fishtail it off the corner and still keep the speed up. So I think he's gonna definitely excel in this new car. He's the one that I'm gonna keep my eye on.
Yeah, absolutely there. And I don't know. I don't know if this is a car that is gonna favor the younger crowd, or if this may be a car for the Harvick, the Hamlins, the Bushes. It is kind of an interesting take, but as we say that, I think Kurt Busch is gonna have some success in this car. I think he is gonna bring a couple wins to that organization this year. I think he's fully invested. It seems like so far, from what I've read at least, his relationship with Jordan is really kind of a good up-and-coming thing there. So to see Kurt comfortable in a team, I think you put him in this car, and I think he's going to have some success. Is he going to win a championship? No, I don't think so. But I definitely think we're going to see Busch in the playoffs and fighting for wins here this year. So it'll be interesting. And that's something I want to see from that team, whether it be Bubba, whether it be Busch. I want to see that team because I really feel like they've come in it the right way. They've invested well into this, and it's a team that will continue to invest in it. Now, we hear the talks of another team kind of rumbling, and it makes you wonder, is something going on in NASCAR? Where's the sweet money coming from, Kyle? Because the money team, Floyd Money Mayweather, he come out, and they're going to run the Daytona, and he says he wants to continue, maybe run a few other races throughout the season. But number one, what's your take on kind of these celebrity owners or something like that? Because I don't know how much Floyd knows about NASCAR. I know Jordan, he was a NASCAR fan at least. He did enjoy that. I don't know how much back end Jordan understood, but as far as Floyd, I don't know if he's a race fan. I don't know if this is a money grab. I mean, obviously Floyd, with the money he has, he's got people behind him telling him where to put that money. I would assume. I would hope. But where is this? What is NASCAR like the next cartel? Is it a launder service? What's going on here?
I don't really know, but I mean, as far as Michael Jordan goes, he's been around the sport, coming to the racetrack for many, many years, at least since the early 2000s. So I mean, he has a friend in Denny Hamlin. He's been a friend with him for quite a while.
He's got a friend in him. That's not copyright, is it?
I guess we'll find out. But as far as Floyd goes, I can't think of one time that I've ever seen him on TV at a racetrack. Maybe at a Daytona 500 a couple of years ago, I think he was at one. But
that you look at Daytona though, that's your celebrity event there.
Yeah.
So
I feel I don't know how he's gonna do. I don't know how that team's gonna do. I mean, I know they got Kaz Grala, who he's a pretty decent driver. He did all right in the Truck Series and the Xfinity. But the other thing you got to take into consideration is it is the brand new car. So if somebody is going to do this, like just come into it like randomly like this, I think this is the year to do it because everybody's going into this season without knowing anything about this car. So I think they might be able to come in and maybe not compete for wins, but they might be able to pull off some top 20s because all the other guys in front of them are still trying to figure out the car just as much as that team is. But I am curious to see how long he sticks around for. Maybe he does one or two races and realizes that it's not where he wants to put his money anymore, or it's not making him any money. So we'll see how that plays out.
He also has to get that charter. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, no, not just a charter, but the other thing you got to think too with Floyd Mayweather is that man has avoided tax invasion for years, so he has to show losses at some point for all the money he's won.
No joke. Yeah, he's telling Cass, "Wreck it, baby, wreck it."
Yeah, just total it. I don't care. We don't have another one. It's wash off the books. I'm gonna do one more fight. When I fight that fight, that's wreck another car. We'll call it square. We'll call it even. I don't have to pay taxes.
It makes you wonder too, because like I said, you do have to get that charter if you want to continue. And I understand you could try to make it and stuff like that, but with the fact that you've got a shortage, how did he come up with this chassis that quick? Kind of money talks at that point. I think he came to the top of the line. He's y'all realize how much money I got, right? Like, that's not.
To be honest, I don't know how much he's going to be actually involved. Like, I kind of look at it like a Pitbull and his team.
Pitbull gets you know what? When he signed on as an owner with NASCAR, he got the rights to make concerts with NASCAR. So we're going to watch a Pitbull concert, unfortunately, here today. So, I mean, that's what, like Brandon says, I don't know if it's Floyd trying to get his name out to another group, because I don't know if Floyd needs to get his name out to a different fan base, but I understand what you're saying there. And, just an interesting kind of take there. You read about that. I don't even think that car looks good. Like, Pit Viper glasses, you could have done so much better with something. And
it looks like they let one of those kid hospitals, like, design it.
Oh, God, Kyle. And then we're done with Kyle. No, but no, it's bad. I think I've seen some of the kid ones do a lot better. So we'll see how that kind of pans out here today. So we'll go back to the Clash. Let's talk a little bit of practice. Did you guys get to watch? I know Kyle, you did. Matt, did you get to see some of that practice there?
I watched a little bit of the replay because I was watching qualifying. Hey, Kyle, can I make a quick bet with you, though?
Sure.
Okay. If Kaz Grala finishes ahead of whoever you're going to pick for when we get you back on the show for like the 500 or whatever, you have to buy me a pair of Pit Vipers.
Whoa.
And if
Vipers. I don't even know what that is.
They're like $100 sunglasses.
Yeah. And vice versa.
How about we choose a different track other than Daytona?
No, because he's only running one race. But I watched a little bit of it.
Didn't Kaz run in a super speedway event last year, or was it road course? I know he filled in
Daytona road course.
Okay, I was gonna say I knew he filled in
for Austin Dillon.
Did he do the IndyCar road course as well, or not IndyCar?
I don't think so. I think Austin was on Baby Watch, and I think that's why he was there. It was either that or COVID. I can't remember.
I gotcha, because I do remember Kaz being in the seat last year at some point, and he didn't do too bad from what I recall. I think he actually led a few laps, so it will be interesting to kind of see. I think that's a solid grab because Kaz Grala, he's a guy I think he deserves a chance in NASCAR. We said last year, he got that opportunity to sit in the seat. So I'm interested to see what Kaz can do in Cup, and I think he might be that next. I think he's better than Matty D, but I think he's going to be in that kind of level. Hopefully, he gets to run around it a little more though, and maybe
hopefully he doesn't blow it up like Matty D did.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. A little better, but that's where I see him like going into the level of competition. Like, you're not going to come in and battle with the Hendrick guys right off the bat. Not in my mind, not my opinion. So,
see, you were talking about Matty D, and we were talking about the practice for the Clash or whatever, and watching a little bit of it, watching some of the guys locking up their left fronts and stuff. And Kyle said about now's a good time for guys like Floyd Mayweather to get into the sport. I think this would be a great time for Matty D if he was in the Cup Series. I think this would have been, because look how well he started coming on when he was at the Wood Brothers. He was competing close to getting that win with the 95 at Bristol, and then goes to Wood Brothers for a year and was competing for wins on a weekly basis. I think after watching how practice went, I kind of think Matty D would be really good in this next gen car, especially at the Clash. because I thought he was always a super underrated short track driver, and probably not the best equipment, but he was always there. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't a roadblock. He wasn't causing mayhem out there.
Right, and he was another one of those drivers that was always pulling for more horsepower. Like always,
Right.
I guess, marketing or protesting for more horsepower.
Yeah.
So I do feel like he's another one of those guys that could handle the more power and like a looser car and something a little more unstable than what they've been driving the last couple of years. So yeah, I do agree with you. I think he would be doing pretty good in these things.
So we got Hendrick on top of the board in practice. They take the top there. Do you guys think that Hendrick continues its dominance here today? Number one, and number two, do you think the defending champion, Mr. Kyle Larson, I know you can't read it there, but Mr. Kyle Larson, do you think he can put on a show here and in his not only coming out for the championship, but he gets to open up the season in his not his hometown but his home state. So kind of a double whammy for Larson. Does he do anything here today? My idea, my vision here is we talk about short track racing. This is about as short as it gets, right? Well, Kyle Larson just came off of a race called the Chili Bowl. You talk about some very close action and just nonstop, and that's what today's going to be like. So, what's your guys' take on Hendrick and especially Larson here today?
Kyle, I'll let you go first.
As far as Hendrick Motorsports goes, I think they're only going to continue to get better because I mean you got guys coming into Hendrick Motorsports like Jeff Gordon, Chad Knaus, who are now into more management style roles, and they bring a lot of knowledge to the table. So with Rick Hendrick kind of, I think, staging his way out of Hendrick Motorsports, I think he's setting it up for them to just keep getting better with that knowledge that they're bringing on. And these drivers, the lineup that they have right now is incredible. Or the best it's been in years. So I think Hendrick Motorsports is going to have another phenomenal year, probably a couple phenomenal years. Kyle Larson, I've never really pictured him much like as a short track racer, as at least on asphalt. I know what he can do on dirt. But when it comes to like your Martinsville and Richmonds and stuff, you don't typically see him running up front, but you did see him at the end of 2021 all of a sudden running really well in the last couple of races of the year, which was Martinsville and Phoenix, both somewhat shorter tracks. And he went out there and he was competing with Chase Elliott at Martinsville for the win. And then we know what he did at Phoenix. So I think going into this, I think the momentum's just going to keep rolling for him.
So Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, I think it's going to be really good. It's going to be tough to beat. But we were talking before the show, Tommy Boy, about one particular driver. And I'm going to just say now that's going to be my pick to win tonight, and Kyle Busch. I think, in all honesty, it's going to be a Joe Gibbs show this year. Kind of to what Kyle said, like you didn't really expect Larson to compete on the short tracks. But if you look at the history of of when the first car of tomorrow came out with the wing on the back, Kyle Busch was probably the best driver in that car. Then the new car, the last car that we just had came out, Kyle was probably, up until this last year, Kyle was probably the more dominant driver in that car too. I think now we got this even newer car, and he's going to be the guy that is probably going to be the most dominant. And then you go to look at the short track side of things. Christopher Bell, dirt guy, sliding around and stuff. It's going to adapt to his driving style. Got Martin Truex Jr., who still to this day I don't think is as popular as what he should be. The guy has always been there. He's a champion. Like I don't think too many people hate him, but there's not too many people who are like, oh, so diehard Martin Truex Jr. fans. So to your question, Hendrick Motorsports, yes, they will be really good, but I don't think a guy like Kyle Larson is going to be as dominant as he was last year. I think you're going to see the cream rise to the top, and you're going to see like a Kyle Busch or like a Truex have another dominating year like they have in the past.
I respect that. I could see that. And so Matt's going off the ebbs and flows. Kyle's going off momentum. That's it seems to be the separation there, if you will. I don't know exactly how to feel about Hendrick right now. I think I'm gonna give it 3 races because, like you said, Kyle, you've got a new spot for Gordon. You've got that new spot for Canal. So maybe that does cause a little bit of growing pains. Is it going to be a huge? No. But it could be a little hill to get over as these guys get acclimated to their new positions in the company. So these guys have been around racing.
Though, they were in these positions all of last year as well, though.
But
this
now
is new to 2022.
It's more responsibility for them. It's. I think they're like you said. Hendrick he's going to look at them more and say, guys, what's going on here? You know, because he doesn't want to. I think he's made it very clear that he does not want to. He wants to be here. He loves NASCAR, but it's his time is almost up. He's made that clear. Yes. So I think he does start to push more of that responsibility of ownership onto Jeff, and really kind of see what he's got here, if you will, while Hendrick is still able to kind of make those moves, because if not, you could be leaving it to I'm not going to say disarray, because with those two guys, like I said, they've been in racing, they know what's going on. It's not like I know this is a terrible analogy to make with Kyle on the show, but Matt will understand this. Your Troy Aikmans, your Peyton Mannings, just because they were a fantastic player on the field doesn't mean they're going to come off out of retirement and be a fantastic coach. So that's where you kind of could see maybe a little hill, maybe a little, hey there, Mr. Burt, a little crest, if you will, for those guys to get over. But like you said, in the same respect there, Kyle, is you've got probably, I'm going to say probably, the most impressive driver lineup there is. So right there, it's going to be a huge benefit to you to have that. But I don't know. Like I said, I think it's really hard to make a judgment on Hendrick right now just because of all the shifting going on there. You've got your drivers, your crew. I think all those stayed the same. Nobody switched around big in the crews, correct?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe there were any changes on the crew side.
So that's going to keep it intact on the track. But what happens off the track, the stuff that we don't see, that's where I think there may be just a small little hill for those guys to climb. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare. But we talked about, last year, maybe a couple years ago even, one of the most impressive rookie classes ever to come into NASCAR. You had Bell. You had, help me out here, it was Bell, Briscoe, I think, came in then.
Right. John Hunter Nemechek.
Nemechek. There was a big number name I'm missing here that was fighting with Bell for the title there for 2 years in Xfinity.
Reddick.
Thank you. So out of those guys right there, who do you think? Because I still look at these guys as all 4 of those guys could be title contenders at some point. They all stepped into rides that they can compete with for the outside of, and I think Nemechek is the lowest tier of those, but he's shown that he could get up to the front. Out of those guys, who do you think has the best opportunity today?
Well, Nemechek, I believe, is back in the truck series still, isn't he, Kyle?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not running.
He's running
today.
full-time trucks this year again.
Out of Reddick, Bell, and Briscoe, who do you think really takes the cake out of those top guys here today?
Go ahead, Matt.
I think it's Bell. I think it's going to be so hard to go against Bell. I mean, it's nothing against Reddick or Briscoe. I think both are capable drivers of competing for championships, but Bell has been part of the Joe Gibbs organization now for so long, and he's got, I think, the best resources out of anybody to be able to compete. And look how well he's done for a little bit that he's been in the Cup Series. I mean, I wouldn't say he's title contender, but in a race like today, I think this would benefit Bell the most. But I could see it being like a Bell, Briscoe, Reddick 1, 2, 3 type of race if it came down to it.
Kyle, what's your take on that?
I go back to Reddick. I think Reddick's going to be the one out of those guys who probably does the best today. However, I am curious to see how Briscoe does this year, because we saw Briscoe come into the Cup Series in that time where the cars were high downforce, low horsepower, and that's not. It's pretty clear that it wasn't his cup of tea.
Right.
Like he wasn't enjoying it, and I don't think he was doing very well. But with this year, with the cars being the way they are now, I think you're going to see Briscoe start contending maybe for some wins or top fives. But as far as today's race goes, I'm going back to Reddick. I think Reddick's going to, I don't want to say win, but I think he'll finish better of those guys that we're talking about.
So let me ask this to both of you, though, because I kind of read this from in the chat. Somebody said about they should do this heat race qualifying style for all short tracks. So based on that, Kyle, where do you think Reddick and Briscoe and Bell rank up when it comes to like the heat race style qualifying? Because you're talking about all three have come from a background where heat racing was how you qualified into the race. So who has the advantage when it comes to that mentality? Like, okay, who do you think is the better heat race qualifier, and who will that benefit more when it comes to the clash race itself?
That'll be Christopher Bell, I think. He has probably the most dirt racing experience, and there's a lot of heat racing that comes with that. So he's used to that pressure of advancing to the main. I think Bell is probably the one who brings the most experience with the heat racing.
So you still think Reddick though will still be the top guy of those three?
I think Reddick's gonna get to the main. I think they're all gonna get to the main, to be honest. I think it'll probably go smoother for Christopher Bell getting to the main than it will for Tyler Reddick. But I think once they're in the main and they get that thing rolling, I think Reddick's gonna outrun them all.
Tommy Boy, what's your take? Like, to your question that you asked us, but on top of that, with the heat racing, like, what's your thoughts on that one?
I think Bell. I think that does favor him. That's something that, like Kyle said, he understands the importance of getting out in track position in a quick style race like that, but also understands the importance of keeping your car clean and making it through so you can race. And that's, I think, is going to be some of these guys' big hurdle today, is in the heat race they may get a little too aggressive, a little out of their comfort zone, if you will, and we could see a couple incidents happening out of that, and you might not have the car then. That car might not drive the same. It might not feel the same. It might be completely off. It might drive better. Yeah, you don't know after that incident there. So I think it all favors Bell as far as that close contact, that heat style, like that elbows up racing, if you will. I think Bell definitely takes the cake there. And you look at those guys like Kyle said last year with Briscoe, kind of having a tough rookie year there, to not doing what everybody expected him to do. Bell, he did get a win. So he was up there, and Reddick, he didn't get a win last year, did he?
No,
I didn't think. But he fought up there. He was in contention out there for. He had some top fives, top tens.
Yeah, I think he got a couple seconds as well.
So who do you think has the best sophomore season out of those guys? What's your guys' take on those guys' sophomore season here?
Go ahead, Kyle.
I think it's going to be between Reddick and Briscoe. They both have a year of experience, I think they've both been in the Cup Series for a year. So they both got a year of experience of being in the Cup. So they know the guys that they're racing around already. They know what to expect from those guys. They know who's aggressive, who's not. And everybody's going to be on the same, I guess, level of learning this new car. So I think if I had to pick one, I think I would actually go with Briscoe on prevailing throughout the whole year. I think there's a lot of tracks that better suit his driving style over Reddick. But I think they do. I think they both do fairly well. But I think at the end of the year, I think Briscoe finishes higher in the points.
So the big thing here is, first off, last year's rookie class was Briscoe and Alfredo. So we got that Reddick and Bell and Nemechek and all them were 2020.
That was 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, and that was Cole Custer.
Custer, that was who I was thinking of earlier.
Yeah, and that's another guy that we really haven't talked much about because he still flies under the radar. He does have a win.
Yes.
I mean, but if I had to choose, oh man, Kyle, I'm sorry, but it's Bell. It's got to be Bell. I mean, like, even though he has an extra year of experience, and it's nothing against Briscoe and it's nothing against Reddick, but I just want to know, how much are they paying you to say their name constantly on the show? Because like, that's the only names you dropped all
I'm gonna
so
go.
far.
I got to go with Briscoe though myself, because the way I look at this, I think Stuart Haas put a lot of their eggs into this new car. Where last year it was very clear that team just wasn't performing like it could, like it should, and I think that kind of had something to do with it. It was like, it's not like Formula One where they just stopped like developing their car or whatever, but I think a lot of the attention, maybe a lot of I think last year they knew, even having an older Harvick, it was more of a rebuild, and let's really wait for this new car to come out, because it should be out here this year, but with everything that went on, it was backed up a year. So I think Stuart Haas kind of, I said it before, the ebbs and flows, but I think you got to watch out for Harvick. You got to watch out for Briscoe this year. I think those two are pretty tough to match. And saying that, who else is there? You got Ambrose, am I correct? And he's already slated out of that seat next year. Is that the right name? Is it Marcus Ambrose on the team?
He hasn't been in NASCAR.
Who am I thinking of? I'm trying to think of.
What's
Oh my goodness!
What year do you think it is?
Suarez is out of that team here at the end of the year. He's pretty much already been slated. So at the beginning of the year, you already know you're fighting for a ride. So, and what do you think kind of goes into that decision? Because in my mind, I don't know if that's a solid decision to make and say, "Hey, man, appreciate you driving, but we're not going to sign you the next year. So you have a great year this year. Go out there and fight for a title, okay?"
I'll be honest with you, this is news to me. I didn't hear that Suarez was losing that ride.
I am pretty sure that
track out?
Is he. See, I thought who's with Stuart Haas right now?
You got Briscoe, you got Custer, you got Harvick.
Who's the fourth?
Almirola.
That's who I'm thinking of.
I was going to say, okay.
There we go. That's why Ambrose came in. Almirola, thank you. That he is the one that I believe is slated out. And a lot of people are looking, because they just signed, I'm terrible with names. Kyle.
Hold on. So he's retiring.
Yeah.
He's not looking for a new ride.
So they have, who do they sign on for their test driver, their reserve driver this year? It's escaping my mind right now, but so I mean they've got somebody in the works.
To that one.
I honestly thought he was being slated out. I didn't think
Ryan Preece. It was
Preece.
Ryan Preece.
Thank you.
That's it. Yep.
So you see that these guys are getting ready. They are rebuilding. That was the whole kind of jolt of my conversation there. But so I think they know they're in a rebuild here. They understand that. At this point, they've got to do something, because Harvick, at the end of the day, I think it's slating out for Harvick to hand that car over to Deegan here in a couple years. But they want to get the knowledge, they want to get the expertise out of Harvick and to really teach these younger people. Would you guys agree with me on that?
Yeah, I know. We got Harvick at least until 2023 or through 2023, so we know that.
And that lines up Deegan perfect almost for the step in.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we see Harvick hang out until his kid gets to the Cup Series. At this point,
that would be impressive.
But I do agree. I think they're kind of waiting for Deegan to get into that ride. But I think they also wanted Harvick to be around for the beginning of this generation of car, because he's been through so many of these different changes that they wanted him to be there with to bring his knowledge of how adapting to a new car and all of that. So I think we'll see him probably through the next 2 years now. maybe more. But I think they are getting it ready for possibly Deegan or somebody else to slip into that in a few years.
So I just lost audio there for a second, so I apologize. One name we really haven't thought about, or one team we haven't thought about is, or two, Penske side and the Roush Keselowski team, though. Because we look at the past rookie classes, look at the class of 2016 when you had Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ryan Blaney's a guy that I think has a really bright future with any organization he goes to. And I think that's the top dog at Penske this year. And I even think Keselowski, being part owner over at the Roush Fenway Keselowski team now, I mean, like, we're dropping all these names about past rookie classes, but we completely forget about guys like Blaney and Keselowski now, who are probably, like, I would think up there. It's the top Ford guys.
Blaney, I think, I'm not going to call him underrated, because I think a lot of people are starting to hop on that train now, starting to really appreciate him as a driver. It did take him a couple years, I think, to come into his own here in the Cup Series. But you got to look at who he was sitting behind there as well. I mean, you mentioned Keselowski sitting behind Logano there. So he was really just kind of, I think, being that silent passenger, learning from Keselowski. If you could take Keselowski and Logano and make a racer that race half of one and half of the other, you'd have one really good racer. So if Blaney, I think, was being a pretty smart guy, and I do believe he is, he sat back there and really learned from those guys. And I think, we saw him. You could call last year's breakout year. I would say 2 wins last year, 2 maybe 3 wins last year.
Yeah, I think it was 3.
And
I could be wrong.
And a solid run through the playoff there. So you gotta say maybe that was his breakout year, and he's gonna come in here, I think, one of the top 5 drivers this year. I completely agree with that on Blaney, honestly. So let's look down the class here. Heat 1, gonna start off Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Blaney, Danny Hamlin, Eric Almirola, BJ McLeod. Thank you, McLeod. Todd Gillian, and Ross Chastain. You're laughing at me there, Kyle. So out of those guys, Heat 1.
You got 4 of those right.
Yeah, thank you. Out of Heat 1, who do you think takes the cake there?
Kyle Busch, no doubt. He's been fast in the practice sessions, qualifying. He got the pole. I think he's gonna probably, if I had to guess, he's probably starting towards the front of that heat. Are you able to see that?
That was the order.
Oh, okay.
If
he's starting at the front, I don't think he's giving up that top spot for that heat race.
I think it's going to be really hard for somebody to get around Kyle Busch in that first heat.
And if they're going to get around him, they're going to have to give him the bumper. And if they give him the bumper, they're going to have it coming right back at him. So
in the feature, if he gets there, if you push him, payback is not going to be fun. Matt, are you going to agree with Kyle Busch on the top of that one?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just actually quite impressed, because the only reason why I think Kyle took Kyle was because Reddick wasn't in that heat race. So.
No, hold on. No. So I said earlier that I don't think Reddick's going to win it overall. I just think Reddick's going to do better of the drivers that we were talking about at that moment.
No,
I think Kyle Busch wins all of it.
I know that, but I'm just saying the name you dropped the most is Reddick. So I figured, like, if he was in that heat race, it's going to be like, Reddick's coming from like 9th or whatever. He's going to win that
heat race. He's going
to take it.
Yeah. No, so I think with Blaney starting in 4th, and you look at the 2 guys, you got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ahead of you there. That's going to be a hard guy to pass at this course. I think he's going to be maybe a little bit of a wild card to pass at this course. So I don't think Suarez, I think a solid driver, but I don't think he's defensive enough to keep that position. So I think Blaney's going to fight Kyle Busch for that, and I'm going to take Blaney in that first heat, since you guys went with Kyle Busch. So
what about Stenhouse, though? Like, before we go to the next,
like I said, I think he's going to be hard. I think he's going to be hard to pass. I think he's going to be a tough guy to get around, but I do think Blaney is going to be able to take him there.
He's another short track guy, though.
So we look at Heat 2. We got Kyle's favorite, Tyler Reddick, starting number 1. Number 2, Cole Custer. 3, Harrison Burton. 4, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace in 5th, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, and Martin Truex Jr. rounding out that second heat. Who do you guys think in the second heat there?
Go
I'm
ahead
gonna
and
go with
say
Harrison
Kyle.
Burton.
What?
Just kidding. No, it's Tyler Reddick.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to become a broken record. I already stated why I think Tyler Reddick's going to do well this race. But as far as he's also starting first, just like Kyle Busch, I don't think he gives up that top spot, at least not easily.
How many laps are the heat races?
Let's see if I can.
Just curious on that one.
25.
Give me Alex Bowman.
You're taking Alex Bowman on that. You know, I was thinking about that, and I do think that he is going to be a pretty tough, but you look at that because he's lengthways, Jason, because he's lengthways. You look at him, and I don't know if he is defensive or aggressive enough to make that up there. And he could prove me wrong. He could prove me wrong there.
Did you see Martinsville?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't think it has anything to do with being defensive or aggressive enough.
No,
I think
it was
it's
a
just,
mistake.
No, I think it's just in general being there at the end, even in 25 laps. Bowman is a pretty consistent driver for a short run. For 25 laps, something against Tyler Reddick. But Reddick has always been a long run driver. If you look at last year,
That's fair. Yeah.
When there was tires going away, where was Reddick going? He was going to the front. And those short runs, Bowman was always up there, and he would fade a little bit as the runs go on. So
he's the Byron McDonald of NASCAR.
Yeah. So that's why I think Bowman is going to be the type. This is a type of heat race for him where he can go out there and doesn't have to be aggressive, doesn't have to be defensive. He just has to be there, and I think he'll be there at the end.
See, and I think Reddick. I think after seeing yesterday's performance by Reddick, I think he showed the speed. He showed himself in practice that he was going to be defensive, and I do think being aggressive, being defensive is going to be those are going to be the guys that are going to be able to really take be the king of the castle today. I think Reddick does take heat 2 there. We move into heat 3, and a pretty interesting name here on the top of the board here. Justin Haley was fast all day yesterday, had a solid qualifying there. Then we got Chase Elliott, William Byron, Christopher Bell, AJ Allmendinger, Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, Corey LaJoie, and Cody Ware. So kind of a stacked heat right there, I'd say. That's a pretty solid lineup of drivers there.
I still think Bell from 4th in that heat race. I mean, that's just my opinion, but Haley looks quick, and Chase Elliott is Chase Elliott, but it's Bell in a heat race style. It's hard to bet against him.
Who you got,
I
Kyle?
was going to have probably Chase Elliott. I think you see him do really well at the most similar track to this on the circuit, which is Martinsville. I know it's still very different, but I think he brings a lot of his experience at these short tracks, and he has quite a few short track wins now. I think he pulls off that heat win, but I think you still see Haley hold on to a top 3 at the end of it.
I think
he probably doesn't have the experience of running like with these Cup guys, but I think he can still hold on to a pretty good finish.
Yeah, I would agree with that as far as Haley goes. He just doesn't have the experience overall, but I'm gonna look at Hendrick as well. I do agree with Kyle as far as Hendrick, but big old butt there. I think the 24, William Byron. You used to talk about Martinsville.
Okay.
William Byron had a solid run at Martinsville. He had a good car there. He was running up top. Then he got into some trouble not caused by himself. So I think if he can get around his teammate Chase, I think William Byron's going to find himself on top of that winner's circle. And I think that 24 is going to be possibly the top dog of Hendrick here this year. I think he's ready for a breakout year. Look at that. Kyle with a stinky no. No. So,
I don't think so.
Heat 4, the final heat. You got Joey Logano on top, Kyle Larson in second, Michael McDowell, Landon Castle, Austin Cindric, Eric Jones, Ryan Preece, Kurt Busch, and Ty Dillon to round out the field there. Who you guys got in this one?
I think Logano from the pole will be tough to beat because he is aggressive. He's a very aggressive driver. We've seen it over the years. But the guy I really want to watch out for, Kurt Busch, coming from 8th. I think that's going to be a show. Whether he beats and bangs his way to the front or whatever, I think that's a guy that can easily come through the field and make it interesting for whoever's out front.
So Cracky picked Harvick in that last one, and my dad is picking Larson in this one. Kyle, go ahead.
I really want to choose Kurt Busch, but these heat races are only 25 laps, and I don't think they're going to be too aggressive in these heat races because they want to try to save their stuff for the main, if not that last chance qualifier race. So I think possibly 8th place is a bit much to get up to the front for Kurt. So I think again it's going to come from one of the guys in the front row there, probably Logano.
Can I remind you, Kyle, on one thing, though? Do you remember the very first, I think it was the trucks at Eldora and Norm Benning, and everybody's like, oh, it's just a heat race. It's not going to matter. And he pretty much put that thing on the fence.
Yeah, that's true. He did. He sent it that race. That's for sure.
This race doesn't pay to finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the heat race. It's all about winning, getting up front, and winning that money at the beginning. So you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the front because you want to be up front.
These are going to be their first laps in like race conditions on this track, though. So I think, excuse me, there's going to be dive bombs left and right. I think, especially towards the end of these heat races, that last chance qualifier, and then the end of the main. You're going to see probably people spinning left and right, if I had to guess. So I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Kurt is one of those guys who starts throwing it in there late in the heat race just to make up some positions.
And I think we all kind of agree Kurt Busch is going to do. He's going to surprise some people in this final heat, but I think we all do agree that it's going to be tough for him to really make it up there. And I got to go with Logano there as well. I think he's going to do solid and one of the best blockers and movers right there. So, excuse me, I think Logano is going to have a solid chance in this heat. So I guess at that point we've talked our heat winners. We've talked about the practice. We've talked about this next gen. It's time now for that favorite part of the week, the Checkers and Wreckers picks of the week. So right now we want you guys that are out there watching to put your picks in the comments here. Checker for who you think's going to take the win here today. Overall, the wrecker, not necessarily who you think's going to wreck, but somebody that should do good, that's not, that you don't think's going to finish well. And then a dark horse pick, somebody that is going to maybe surprise a little people today. And we'll let the dark horse be open. It's a new car. It's a new era. Today begins it. So if you want to pick Kevin Harvick as your dark horse, darn it, today you can pick Kevin Harvick as your dark horse. So let us know who you guys think out there. And we'll start with you, Kyle. We'll let our guest start off with the Checkers pick here. Who do you think's going to take the win here today?
Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch gets it overall. He's shown that he can do it in the past with these new cars. Plus, we know he's got the aggressiveness that you're probably going to need for this race. He's most likely going to be starting up front, if not on the pole. Or I don't know. Does he get to keep his pole position?
If he wins that heat. That the winner of Heat 1 will get the pole position.
The chances are he's still going to be starting towards the front. So I think Kyle Busch wins it overall. He's my Checkers.
There's your checker pick. Matt, Matt, let's see if I can get that right. There you
go. like my favorite college game day person, Lee Corso, says, great pick, my friend, great pick. The bias in me is definitely taking Kyle Busch. It's hard to bet against him. His track record in new cars proves that he is probably going to be the guy to beat. He's quick all the time, and you really want to put a bumper on him because you're just going to get spun out anyways. So let's go.
Going with Busch there. I got to break the cycle there. I do think Kyle's going to be a fantastic driver here today. We talked about being defensive, being aggressive. He checks all those boxes that it's going to take to win this race today. But I do think Joey Logano, with those same check boxes checked, you look at a guy that can come out to a track, take the track, get it under his belt, get something figured out. He won that Bristol dirt race with very little dirt experience. So I think you got to go with Logano here. Joey Logano for my Checkers pick today.
Yeah, that's a good one.
we'll go to the wreckers now, and we'll go to Kyle here. Who do you think's gonna be the wrecker here today? Somebody that's not gonna do as well as they should.
I'm gonna go with Brad Keselowski. I don't know if it's just watching him in the practice qualifying. He didn't seem to have the speed. I don't know if it was just he wasn't really pushing the issue or if it was just the car. I know it's probably a lot of growing pains for him. But I don't know if he gets wrecked today, but I don't think he finishes very well at all in these heat races. Or the main. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he doesn't make it to the main.
Good pick there.
My wrecker pick, it's an obvious pick for some cases, but if you look at how he did in practice and what he did in qualifying, his inconsistency, Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace was 36 quick out of 36 cars in practice, went out in qualified decent, but now you're talking he's stuck in the middle of a heat race, which means he might be stuck in the middle of the feature. So that's my wrecker pick. I can't pick Danica. She's not out there. So,
so we look across the board here, and I don't think I was looking at Hamlin, thinking he was gonna have a tough time today, but honestly, I'm gonna go with Chase Elliott. I think if Kevin Harvick finds the back end of Chase Elliott today, Chase Elliott is going to find the wall. I don't think that feud is over whatsoever, and I think Harvick is smart enough to understand that this does not pay any points. This does not pay anything. This is payback. So at this point, I think Chase Elliott is going to get wrecked. I think Kevin Harvick is going to be on the leading end of that nose into Elliott's car today. And I do think that he's going to get his payback, if you will, on Elliott. So I don't think Elliott's going to be.
They're even now, are they not, though?
Kevin Harvick made it sound like no, they were not. That he was still gunning for him. So I think if he catches back end of him today, it's like I said. At this point, those two are going to beat and bang if they get around each other. So one of those two ain't finishing if they find each other on the track today.
do we really count the Roval as payback from Chase Elliott? I mean, Harvick screwed it up himself. Elliott never hit him.
So now we go down the line. I think we know who Kyle's dark horse is here today, but Kyle will let you lead it off.
I don't think you do. I was going to say Ryan Preece. Actually.
Well, fair enough. I thought it was Tyler Reddick, no doubt about it. But
no, I think it's Ryan Preece. I know he's in Rick Ware equipment, but Ryan Preece has a lot of short track experience on tracks just like this. I mean, granted, it's in a different car. I know he comes from like a modified background, but watching him in practice, he seemed like he knew what he was doing when he was like sailing it into those turns, and it was sticking. Seemed like the car was doing what he wanted to do, and he wasn't terribly slow. Like the rest of the Rick Ware counterparts, or I guess teammates. So I think Ryan Preece has a pretty decent day.
I'll take AJ Allmendinger.
That's a good pick there. That's solid.
I mean, he's back in the Cup Series. Not really on a. He's not the full-time driver, is he?
I don't know if he is full. He may be full-time this year. No,
that 16 car is being split among 3 different drivers.
Yeah, so here's an opportunity for him just to go out there and drive. He's a good driver, so I think AJ is. If you look at their betting odds on like the Fox Sports page or whatever, he's not even in their top like 10 or 15 drivers. So.
Yeah, we look down here, and I think I've got to go. We all talked about him here. We all think he's going to do solid in his heat. He's coming from deep in. He's with a new team this year. He's a little older. I said it before. I think he's going to do solid this year, and I got to go with Kurt Busch as my dark horse here today. I think he's gonna show the NASCAR world that he ain't done yet. He ain't done. I love the video that he posted last year, and then he came back. I ain't done yet. I've still got some stuff in the tank here. So I think Kurt Busch does a solid here today. Makes his way through the field. I think he's going to stay a little more quiet here. I think the past few years we've really seen him. It's sad to say at this age, really seen him mature. But I think that of the two brothers, I think he's going to finish above and may even take a podium spot here today.
Gutsy. very gutsy.
It is a gutsy call. It is a gutsy call, but hey, Kyle, thank you so much for joining in with us today. This went a little longer than I thought, but I had a good conversation. I appreciate you.
You know, it was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
It went longer because Bob Pockers can't be on time. All right, let's be honest here.
Hey, it was, what did we start? 6 minutes late.
So yeah, there we go. So the class, it's starting soon. Am I correct? What time? Do you know what time at?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. is when it is. That the start of the race, or is that the start of the?
No, that's the start of the heats.
Okay, so they'll probably be on TV here in the next half hour, hour.
Yeah. I would imagine there'll be some pre-race stuff. Yes,
I'm sure everybody get your drinks, get your snacks ready because we got. This is a little interesting here because I saw, what is it? It's like a 6-hour block for TV, but I did see. So don't get disappointed today because I did see a 6-hour block, and if there's a lot of green flag action, it's about 83 minutes of racing. So it could be a lot of videos, a lot of talking, but it'll be a good one. Jason wants you to clean your house. He says it looks like Matt Constant in there. Boxes everywhere. Boxes everywhere.
In the middle of a move.
We're in the middle of a move, he says. Green, green, green. My father says, Matt, you got something else there. He's itching.
No, I was just gonna say, Kyle, I don't know where you're moving to, if you're moving into the box, if you're just staying there, but how about next time, you're on a racing show. I understand flannel's your thing, but come on, bro.
It's like Kyle's. I think even in your little cartoon, you got
can
the
ask
flannel.
Dalton. I think I wear a flannel almost every other day.
We need to get him one of those NASCAR flannels with the number on the chest there. That way,
get it tattooed across your forehead. We'll just get Tyler Reddick's name tattooed
under the eyes.
Then we never know. We don't ever have to ask a question who you're rooting for. You just be like, oh, look right here.
Guys, thank you so much. Another fantastic episode here today. And Matt, I think we're gonna go. We said not this Tuesday, but we'll be back with it. Definitely not on Super Bowl Sunday. We'll be back with it the next Tuesday to talk a little bit of World of Outlaws as they start their season here. This what'd you say, Thursday? Correct?
Yeah. So we're gonna take this Tuesday off since we pushed this show from this past Tuesday to today. The Outlaws start at Volusia on Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the Dirt Car Nationals. Everybody's going to try and win that gator. It'll be a great season for the Outlaws, so tune in next week. We'll have some reviews. If you're looking at wanting to watch it, Dirt Vision will be the place to go.
I hate dirt. I hate dirt for that reason. Hey, Dalton. I just saw him. I hate dirt for that reason. Put it on one network. On one network.
Yeah, so Outlaws will be on Dirt Vision. There's actually stuff that's been going on Flow. We got some dirt racing going on now. Can't wait till we have some of these dirt discussions. I'll be at a lot of the dirt tracks this year. I hope I don't see Kyle there. No, I'm just kidding.
Kyle doesn't do dirt. Kyle, he doesn't get dirty. That pretty face
Unless
don't get dirty.
Unless it's Grandview. I don't know how often you go to Grandview, but I go there a couple times a year.
I'll be there this year. I'll make an appearance for you, I guess. But yeah, so make sure you guys tune in. Tuesday show will be good, especially if you like dirt. We will also talk a little bit of NASCAR too. It's going to be a big show, so I actually can't wait.
Absolutely. Looking good there. You guys enjoy the clash today. I was a little nervous at first. I think after that practice, they showed they're going to put on a good little show for us today, so I'm looking forward to it. Kyle, thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, and you, and you, and you, and you as well. And until the next time,